Stay tuned to meet a woman who's on a mission to deliver health, wellness, quality education, and religious activities to impoverished children and the elderly in Belize. My name is Jason Bradley, and you're watching Urban Report. Hello and welcome to Urban Report. My guest today is Ash Reynolds, founder and president of Read and Feed Belize. Welcome to Urban Report, Ash.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
It's great to have you here. I love what you're doing with Read and Feed Belize, and I'm looking forward to our viewers finding out about all the wonderful things that are taking place. But before we dive into what Read and Feed Belize is all about, I want us to look at some scripture. This is coming from Matthew chapter 25, and we'll begin in verse 34. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, "Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me." And I believe that Read and Feed Belize is doing just that. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about Read and Feed Belize? What is that?
Well, like you said, it's really a ministry, and we're striving to deliver health, wellness, and quality education to children and elderly that are really in need. And it started because my grandma, she actually founded Carmelita Village, which is the community that we serve.
Wow.
Gonna try to make a long story short, but during undergrad, I went to Belize just to visit my family, and the electricity went out, and that also includes water in Belize. Mm-hmm. So my cousin and I had this fun activity planned for the kids in the field, and the kids came, and some of them didn't have shoes, some of them didn't have adequate clothing, and then I talked to people, and I also found out some kids go to bed hungry. Troubled my heart, came home, and I decided to write different churches for Sabbath school lessons because they also all didn't have adequate school supplies. So in my mind, I was like, if we get Sabbath school lessons, that'll cover two birds with one stone. We're sharing the love of Christ as well as giving them their own reading materials.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
That's beautiful. And you said your grandma founded, it was Carmelita
Village.
Yes. We have a picture of your grandma. Yeah, so let's take a look at your grandma. Aww.
Yeah, that is my grandma, Emma Reynolds. And she's just an amazing woman. Philippians 2:4 says, "Let each of us not look after our own interests, but also to the interests of others." And she was really a woman who did that. She was known in the community as the woman who's always cooking something yummy and sharing and reading. And what's interesting is that she stopped having a formal education in the 3rd grade, but she learned to read from her Bible.
Wow.
Yeah. And people would come to my family's house, and you didn't have to be family, but if you needed an encouraging word or you needed food, she was your person. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but I bet, even though people weren't family per se, they felt like family when they went to your grandma's house.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you really took a look at the situation, what was going on in the area, the needs, and you met those needs. So tell us a little bit about the journey.
The journey has been one that's been full of great successes, but also a lot of challenges.
Okay.
I'll give you a quick example. So with those Sabbath school lessons, I thought it would be great to take school supplies, I put all these crayons and markers and suitcases, you get 2 luggages free, so I had to pack them. And I got to the airport in Belize, but I didn't know about duty, and I didn't know about customs. So they're like, "This is gonna cost you." Remind you, I'm an undergrad, so I said, the guy's looking and he sees all the lessons, he sees the crayons. He's like, "Are you a Jehovah's Witness?" And I was like, "No, but I am a witness for Jehovah." And then he was like, "Okay, let her go." So I didn't have to pay. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of things where I've just seen like God provide in ways that I wouldn't have imagined. And we actually have a video that has a lot of the projects included. So I'd love for you guys to see that.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at that video right now.
This is their cooking area.
Wow, that was a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
So unpack some of that, what was going on, because it was like from this scene to the next. I mean, there's so much movement taking place in Belize. Read and Feed Belize is busy.
Yes, it is. And again, that's like nothing but the Lord, because in the beginning I envisioned it like, okay, the kids are hungry, like what could we do to kind of help in any way? But then so much flourished from it. So we kind of have it broken down into 3 different projects. We have Project Read, Project Feed, and then Project Outreach. So if in what you saw in the video, we visit the elderly. The kids will even make them cards. And what's so magnificent about that aspect is just how many people get involved. So even though it started as just one thing, you see it grow and you see people like, you know, just having a heart for service.
Amen. And I love what you just brought out there, that the kids are making cards for the elderly. So now you're getting the children involved in ministry. And so they're doing a good deed, writing these cards out for the elderly. That's huge. And I love how it started with the Sabbath school lesson, because they're learning about, you know, the Bible and learning important spiritual lessons. That's crucial. When did you develop such a passion for people?
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that. I would say Like I saw my parents, they're still like very giving, generous people, my grandma, my aunt. So I think my family has a lot to do with it. I worked in healthcare before, which was very isolating. And then I do have an answer. I have an answer.
Okay.
I'm thinking back. I volunteered a long time ago at church to help out. And I thought they were going to say, oh, you could send emails or something like that. No. They were like, can you lead out Sabbath school? And it was like cradle roll.
Oh, wow.
And so you can't help but just like want to nurture when you're working with kids. So I think that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Say that.
Okay. And how has working in healthcare or having that background in healthcare, how has that played a role in what you do now with Read and Feed Belize?
The thing that's coming to mind right now, I would say, is like preventive measures. Just like how a lot of people go through things that they might not necessarily have to go through if we like face things in the beginning. But yeah.
So like the wellness component is like helping to boost the immune system, providing them with nutritious meals, that type of thing, because it's read and feed. Got you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what are some of the challenges that you faced with Read and Feed Belize?
There are lots of challenges sometimes. For example, we like to pack, we call them love packages.
Okay.
And it comes with the basic Belizean staples like beans, rice, flour, all that great, grand, and wonderful stuff. So I wrote companies in Belize as well as people here have shipped things. And I just didn't think out certain logistics, like the shipping, how long does that take? Again, customs, as well as in Belize, a rice company donated, but it's like 2 hours away. So some of the challenges have been like the moving parts, the financial component, and even with that, God has provided.
Amen.
Yeah.
I would imagine that it takes a huge team to mobilize this operation. How have you found volunteers and all of that, especially with you being here in America and then having people in Belize? How does that work?
Well, again, I have family in Belize, so like Sharon Reynolds, she's like, she knows everyone in Belize, not literally, but and she's just a beautiful heart. So she really helped me with volunteers. And what's really awesome is some of the young adults in Belize, they're very helpful. So we buy things in bulk. And again, it became this big outreach thing that I didn't imagine. So the young adults, they'll get together and, they're talking, having fun, but at the same time they're working. So they're scooping out 3 pounds of flour, 3 pounds of rice, 3 pounds of beans, bagging it up, putting it in this package. And someone else in the village, they'll donate like their pickup truck and we'll stuff them in there and go and deliver. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
What opportunities have come about as a result of Read and Feed Belize?
I would just say a lot, and a lot of the opportunities have come from some of the challenges.
Okay.
For example, we did a laptop drive because with COVID, I'm sure many people know the kids weren't able to go to school. So the kids were getting packets, but because they didn't have access, some kids weren't able to learn how to do the work that's in the packet. So we decided to do a laptop drive.
Wow.
Yes.
Now tell us about the laptop drive in terms of how many laptops can you get and for what price?
Okay, so for every $1,811 collected, we're able to get 12 refurbished laptops.
Wow.
Yeah.
$1,811, you can get 12 refurbished laptops and send them to the children. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And so what's being done with those laptops?
Software is being installed where the kids could actually access more online learning material, especially during COVID. And that way, the kids who don't have electronics, they could log into their class so they're able to complete their work. So again, it was a challenge because the first drive, we couldn't get the laptops there in time, but the blessing is that it gives us more time to collect more so each kid could be properly equipped.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What are some of the churches that have helped you in this process?
Burridge has been a church that I went to go speak at, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to support, which was awesome because it's going to be a true blessing for the children, as well as Vallejo Drive Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we actually have a project that they have been, we call it Project Backpack.
Okay.
They have been in it from the beginning, collecting school supplies. It's brought us together as a church family just to work together and prep for everything. And I'd like to show you guys that too.
Oh, yeah.
If that's okay.
Absolutely. We have that video. Let's check out Project Backpack right now.
Cereal, bars,
Cookies, granola bars, coconut peanut butter granola bars, macaroni, beans, and that's it. God is good.
The setup cruise in action for Community Day. Woohoo! This is where lunch will be served, a little table.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
Wow, another great thing that Read and Feed Belize is doing. Now tell us more about Project Backpack.
Okay, so Project Backpack, like you saw, was just that at the beginning. It was just supposed to be a backpack. But it turned into this project where so many hands got involved to get the kids the backpacks. So again, that was Vallejo Drive Seventh-day Adventist Church. And how it started is I shared this story with a lot of my friends at church. I was like, oh guys, this is happening. Like, what can we do? And we're working together, thinking of different ideas. And so it started as just like a basic drive. Like, we encourage certain parents at the church, like, oh, you're buying your kids school supplies, if you could buy an extra box of crayons, stuff like that. As you saw in the video, it turned into this day where we all got together, and it wasn't just the basic school supplies. Like we were able to stuff each backpack with crayons, markers, paper, canned food, rice, beans, sanitizer, like.
Wow. All kinds of things.
Yeah. It goes to show I was thinking this little, and God was like, oh no, we're gonna hook them up, so to speak.
Yes, yes.
So we got to give a lot.
So he was seeing it on a much larger scale, and he brought that into fruition through you and through all of the churches that supported this initiative as well. What's your vision for Read and Feed Belize?
My vision is that it will continue to grow. Like years from now, I just want each kid to know that they're valuable and special, and I truly believe that education can change the trajectory of our lives, and I wouldn't be here today if certain people didn't pour into me. So I see it like this thing that keeps growing, and we serve one another and we share Christ's love ultimately. So for example, in the video you saw like property where we had the outreach day where the kids got their backpacks.
Yes.
That's like my family's farm. So in my mind I say, wouldn't it be great if one day we could build like a community center, and maybe there's like a sort of like outpatient clinic there, and the kids could have like their own computer lab where they have these resources that we might take for granted.
Yes.
That could really just help build and grow and contribute. I also think it would be amazing if we could have like sustainable farming. So certain kids who are great with trade. I think it could be something spectacular. And
Yeah, that could be huge for sure. And so you already have your family already has the property, has the land, but you guys want to get a building put up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll be helpful for the kids. Yeah.
Absolutely. How has leading out in Read and Feed Belize, how has that been for your spiritual life?
Wow, it's been one where it's like you have to keep faith. Not only that, learning that, praying that my will aligns with God. So like years ago, I had like a dream for my own life. Now I'm a marriage and family therapist associate.
Okay.
But I told you before that I worked in healthcare, but I wasn't doing things to bring glory to God. It was more so I just wanted to be successful.
Got you.
So as far as this goes, it's a lot of prayer and a lot of trust and really believing that all things are going to work together for good, even when it's like, what's happening?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really brought me closer to him. It's really increased my faith because I really have seen miracles that I just never would have imagined.
Yes. Are there any testimonies that you can share?
Absolutely. Well, through COVID, we've delivered like over 1,500 pounds of rice, beans, like just the kids, God is still providing even through the pandemic, like when we couldn't fundraise. Like he's amazing. He really, really is. Again, laptops were donated. The elderly, like people are still able to go and visit. So there's a lot of just blessings that have flowed from it.
So the pandemic didn't stop things. God just rerouted, redirected, and still had things going forward. That's awesome. With that being said, with those things going forward and all of that stuff and all the moving parts that are involved, what are some of the needs of Read and Feed Belize?
Well, we're definitely still trying to collect laptops, as well as we're doing an online reading program.
Okay.
So it's been really cool with the church that you saw in Project Backpack. What we're doing is we're linking a child to an adult or a child that's older than them. And the idea is they meet online and you read to them. It could be a Sabbath school lesson, some sort of spiritual thing of the reader's choice. And the idea is not that we can teach to read per se, but exposure is really good for the kids. And there's something beautiful about saying, I'm just going to invest my time with you, so the kids feel special.
Yeah.
And there's been fun things that's happened, like, they switch stories, like, what's your favorite food? And it'll be like a Belizean dish or an American food. They'll talk about Natalie, she's 8 years old. She goes to Vallejo Drive Seventh-day Adventist Church, and she's matched with one of the kids in Belize who's 5. And so they were talking about animals, and it's just, it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I love that because you're exposing them to a different culture.
Yeah.
And so they're learning, even if they can't travel there right at that time, they're learning about another culture and everything, and that's amazing, especially with the spiritual component as well. So, how do people, like let's say a church wants to get you to come out there and to share with their congregation what Read and Feed Belize is doing. How do people reach you? What's your website and what's your email address?
Okay, so our website is readandfeedbelize.org. And then our email address is readandfeedbelize@gmail.com.
Nice, and they can contact you there. They can check out what it's all about and some different projects that are going on. We have some more pictures that I'd like for us to look at, and perhaps you can tell us kind of what we're seeing.
Okay.
So we'll just go through those pictures.
Okay, so this is a picture of some of the love care packages. Again, it's, You know, there's a book in there, there's food in there, and that woman who's kind of sorting things out, that's actually Miss Jones, and she and her daughters, so someone in the village actually donated the truck, and they'll go through the village and they'll, you know, deliver the packages to the families of the children that are involved, and that's one of the recipients.
Nice.
So as you see, she has her little mask on. I saw she took it off for the photos, which is fun. So again, God has really provided even in the midst of a pandemic, which is incredible. I wouldn't have thought. And again, just the fact of thinking of how many hands are involved to make this happen.
Yes.
You know, the shipping from here to getting, and when we ship, it's not like UPS. We have to pack these big barrels. There are a lot of hands, a lot of people involved. It arrives, and the team involved in Belize, they have to unpack the barrels, then pack the bags, and take it out to the community.
So it's like a huge overseas assembly line and everything like that. Yeah, that's a huge operation. What can churches do if they want to get involved with Read and Feed Belize? What can they do to help support you?
Definitely, if they would like to do something similar to Vallejo Drive Seventh-day Adventist Church, by committing to Project Backpack, and it could be like a long-term relationship.
Okay.
So it could start with something like backpacks, and then laptops where they can keep in touch with the children that they're supporting.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. What do you see as like the next big thing for Read and Feed Belize beyond the building project?
That's a good question. We should pray about that, because I just think that's so big.
It is.
And God willing, that would happen. But I would definitely have to pray about that. I would think an outpatient sort of healthcare thing would be really awesome, because a lot of people go through different things that they just don't have access to the same adequate health care that we do here in the States.
Yeah, so the reading, the feeding, the wellness, the health with the elderly, the impoverished children, you're doing a great work for God, and God is using you to do amazing things. I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us what you're doing and what Read and Feed Belize is all about. Thank you for that. And I can't believe that we are almost out of time, but I want to encourage you to seek God's will for your life. Seek His purpose, His plan, and His direction for what He would have you to do. There are so many different facets of ministry, and you need to get involved with doing something for Him. Until next time, God bless you.